Hi there. Welcome to another After School Tech Tips with the Tips team. My name's Bernice, and today we're going to be talking about cleaning up your Google Drive for the summer, both your own and shared drives. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, so as you can see here, I have my Google Drive open. And the first thing that I wanted to tell you about is just to toggle the view to make things easier to read and to be able to drag and drop things around. So as you can see here, I can go ahead and click on this button where it says list layout, and you can see I can change it right into a list, or again, I can change it back into tile form. So this is going to be really helpful as I go through to see what it is I want to clean up, delete, organize, etc. So as you can see here, I have my folders. I have a bunch of files that are kind of kicking around. And so the first thing I'm going to do is start creating folders. I have some already set up, but I'm not going to create one actually called archive. And I'm actually going to put a number next to it because I want to make my folders show up in a specific order. You will notice that when I go in and create my folders, that if you put a number in front of it, the number is actually going to show in numerical order. And so that's a really great way to organize your folders accordingly. So as you can see here, I have number 15 archive, and we can go ahead and change the color of this folder to whatever color we want it, just for kind of fun pieces as well. So now that we've created our folder and I've color coded it, I can start organizing all these files I have kind of kicking around. And so one of the things I might start doing is I might, for example, highlight a bunch of pieces by dragging my mouse over all of them. You can see all of them go, and I can go ahead and pull that straight into archive. Now, a tip that I have is if you want to throw some of them in, if you click on one and you press the control button, I can click on a bunch of different ones throughout, and then I can go ahead and pull just those ones that I want to pull into a folder, and then I can archive accordingly. Another tip I have that might be really useful is, again, I can actually press the Shift key. So if I want to go all the way from here all the way down to the rest of this, I can go ahead and hold the Shift key, and wherever I click, it's going to highlight everything in between. And again, just a really nice and easy way to take it and drag and drop into the archive. Now, please note when you do that with the Shift key, I have played around with this. I'm only ever able to get it to work with about kind of 75 different items, and it will take a lot longer for it to shift and move the more items you have. So just keep those pieces in mind when you are working and cleaning up your Google Drive. Another piece to show you then is you'll notice that I was dragging and dropping into folders right above, but I can actually access a bunch of my folders right here on the left-hand side. So as you can see here, if I click that arrow right next to my drive, I'm going to get a bunch of my folders that show up automatically. And so I can even open up these folders further by going ahead and clicking on the arrow, and again, I'm going to end up with even more of my folders that are in there. So in this case here, if I want to, I can go ahead and again, I'm going to hold that Shift key and hold a bunch of them. I'm going to drag and drop them into archive, and I can drag and drop into that left-hand menu if that makes it easier for you as well. Depending on how many folders you might have there, it might be easier as well. So those pieces will help you clean up your Google Drive. Now, if you are planning to leave the division and you have a bunch of files that you want to make sure they don't just disappear, because what it will happen is that it will go with your drive. So when you leave the division, everything in your drive then kind of goes with that. So if there's anything that you're worried about losing, maybe there's school files that are linked directly to your Google Drive, well then we want to do a thing called transfer ownership. So if you have certain files or folders that you want to make sure that people still have access to when you're gone, you can go ahead and go into that specific file. So for example here, I can go into my CommTech lab, and if I click into this and open it up, you're going to see that I have shared this with an individual already. In order to transfer ownership, you do need to be able to make sure that they already are shared with. And so you can see here, I can click on where it says editor and I can click on transfer ownership. It will ask you if you want to make the new person the owner, and then that they will be notified, and it could remove you, and you might lose the ability to change any share settings depending on what the owner now chooses to do. You can go ahead and click yes, and now that item now is going to be the owner of the individual that you have now shared that with, and transfer that ownership to. And then last but not least, I do want to talk about shared drives as well. So in your drive, you may have access to a bunch of shared drives. And so one of the things that you can do to help clean up your shared drives is you can start to hide the shared drives that you don't want to be able to access. So for example here, I can click on the three um, dots there and I can go ahead and click on hide shared drive. And again, I can go in and hide shared drives. Now, if you do ever need to access your hidden shared drives, there is a button right here on the top right hand side, and that's where you can click to see all of your shared drives that you have hidden. If I go back to shared drive, I'm going to be able to see the shared drives that I have accessible right now. Now, last but not least, with a shared drive, if you are leaving the school or you're transferring schools or anything like that, your school may have a shared drive where all those files and folders are shared amongst the staff. Now, what you can do here is recognize that when you do leave a school, it is possible that you may lose access to that shared drive. So what you'll see whenever you go into any shared drive is that when you go into a shared drive, there are different settings, like I said. You can go ahead and go in, and of course, we can go ahead and make a copy of these pieces, and then we can bring that into our drive the same way I showed you earlier with the drag and drop. Now, there are different settings, and as you can see here, these are the roles that exist in a shared drive, and I've taken a screenshot of those different pieces. So you can be a viewer, a commenter, a contributor, a content manager, or a manager. And so it will be best to go ahead and check again with your owner or the manager of the shared drive. And that is going to help you figure out what you can do in terms of those files. Or you can also talk to them to have your role changed. Now, please note, if you are planning on making a copy of the files, if you are a viewer and commenter, it is going to automatically make a copy of files in your own drive. If you are a contributor, content manager, or manager, um, it will make the copy of those files within the shared drive itself, and then you will have to drag and drop those files into your own drive after making the copy. So just keep those pieces in mind if there are any files that you do need within your shared drive. So as you can see here, in this case here, I can go ahead and check what I am by clicking on where it says people. And you can go ahead and check your role, and then you can see, if you're a manager, a content manager, contributor, commenter, or viewer, and then go from there. All right, so I hope that helps. Again, remembering with all of these, you can also move things directly right into your drive. So for example here, if I wanted to take this file here, I can go ahead and make a copy of it. And so this is what I was saying earlier about making a copy of something. And then once I have my copy, I can go ahead and drag and drop that right into my files or my folder that I specifically want. So I might go ahead and move that into teaching, and it's going to ask me to move it, and then we're good to go. And again, you're only going to be able to move this depending on the roles of the shared drive that we already talked about earlier. So I hope that helps. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, check back for weekly videos, and connect with your TIPS member if you have any more questions. There's also tips.epsb.ca as well. If you want to check that out, we have a lot more resources there for you as well. So thank you so much and have a great day. Take care.